Hi, and welcome to another shoe comparison here on Rental with Tim. I'm Tim. On today's video, I'm comparing two new daily trainers for 2021, the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel 2 with the Hoka Mach 4. Now, before I get into it too far, I always like to demonstrate what it looks like to run in the shoes I'm about to review for you. So let's do that. But then when we come back together, I'm going to take a real close look at the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel 2 and the Hoka Mach 4 to try to answer the question, which shoe is right for you? Now, this video is not intended to be a full review of either shoe, but if you want to check those out, I'll put a link in the description below to reviews that I've completed for each of them previously. Now, if you're new to the channel, I post running shoe reviews and comparisons on both Wednesday and Saturday mornings, and that's at 5 a.m. Standard Eastern Time here in the US. I also like to post other videos related to running, but I'm never sure what day of the week that's going to be or even what time of day. So if you enjoy watching running shoe reviews and comparisons and other videos related to running, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time that I upload new content. Now, both of these are considered to be neutral road shoes. They each cost $130 US. The New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel 2 is a little bit lighter. They came in at 7.1 ounces for men's size 9 on my scales, or 200 grams, while the Hoka Mach 4 came in at 7.9 ounces or 223 grams. So I'm going to start and talk about the fit of the upper first, beginning with the Rebel 2. Here, you can see that they have a fairly aggressive curve on the lateral side of the shoe, so I don't feel like I have quite as much room to be able to splay my toes as I can in the Mach 4. And then across the midfoot, I do feel like I can get a nice solid lockdown feeling here all the way back to the heel counter. With the Mach 4, as we look at that upper, we can see that there is more room to be able to splay your toes, and I am able to get a nice lockdown feeling across the midfoot, again, all the way back to the heel counter of the shoe. So let me just take a quick second here, and I'm going to pull the insoles out of each of these because I think it helps to demonstrate why it is that the Rebel 2 feels like there's a little less room up in that toe box. And I'm going to overlay the Rebel 2 on top of the Hoka Mach 4 insole so that we can see how that those are cut to fit the geometry of the shoe. And as I do that, I've got these lined up as closely as I possibly can. And here you can see just how much more aggressive of an arc there is on the lateral side of the Rebel 2, which accounts for feeling a little bit more narrow up in that toe box. So let's just zoom in. I want to take a real close look at the material that they made both of these out of. I'm going to start with the Rebel 2 first. Here you can see that they used a single layer engineered mesh material. It is super lightweight. It's very breathable. It's translucent so you can see right through it. It does have a little bit of a plasticky feel to the touch. And then we'll zoom in now on the Hoka Mach 4. Here you can see that, it too is a lightweight engineered mesh material, but it does have more of a cloth-like feeling to it. It's a little less breathable than the Rebel 2 is, but it's still very comfortable to run in. Looking at the eyelet chain, see how they're getting that nice snug lockdown feeling across the midfoot. I'm going to begin with the Rebel 2 first because New Balance went a little bit unconventional here in their styling. On the lateral side of the shoe, they have 5 different eyelets, including one metal rivet here that appears to be for looks only. And then on the medial side of the shoe, or your arch side, they have 4 eyelets there. So they start with an offset lacing system that can take a little bit of getting used to when you put these on. Now with the Hoka Mach 4, it's a traditional eyelet chain. There's no big wow factor here, but it doesn't need to be. It does its job. I always feel secure and locked in all the way back to my heel cup. Now the tongue on the Rebel 2 is thin. It's got nice big wide wings, however, and it lays nice and flat across my midfoot. I didn't have any issues comfort-wise. It's not gusseted, but it does have a loop that you can run your laces through to help hold it in place. Now with the Hoka Mach 4, it's a more traditional tongue. It is semi-gusseted, so you don't have to worry about it migrating around. It too is pretty thin, but I didn't have any comfort issues with either shoe feeling my laces across my midfoot. They both do a nice job in keeping you comfortable when you're out running. Looking at the padding around the heel collar and the tab, starting with the Rebel 2 first. Here you can see that they have plenty of padding to help keep you comfortable when you're out running. Also, the placement of the padding helps create a nice heel pocket for your heel to set in. And with the tab of the shoe, it's a squared off, but it does have lots of padding there that your Achilles sets in. I found it to be very comfortable. I didn't have any issues that way at all. And then with the Hoka Mach 4, they too have plenty of padding there. I'd say that they're pretty darned equivalent that way in terms of the padding around the heel collar and the tab. With the Mach 4s, they do feature an Achilles heel flare that also doubles as a pull tab to help you get your shoes on. Now there is a big difference in the heel counter of these and the feeling of stability that you get. With the Rebel 2, there's some, but not a ton. So let's just take a look and see how much there actually is. When I put this up on my shoulder, and I'm going to give it the pinch test, if I stay in this outlined area here, that's where the majority of the structure is. So they placed it in really strategic areas to give you some stability in your heel. And if I push here or squeeze there, you can see that there is some. But if you get outside of that outlined area, there's really very little that's giving you any kind of structure or stability in the heel of the shoe. And then if I turn it and I just push forward on it, again, as long as I stay in that lower, more strategically placed area of material, there is some structure, but again, not a ton. And then if I go outside of that, though, it pretty much just collapses in on itself. Now, compared that with the Hoka Mach 4, that is a much more stable shoe when it comes to that amount of material that's in the heel counter. And when I talk about stability, I'm talking about pronation. But when I put this up on my shoulder and I give it the pinch test, you can see that you really can't pinch that together at all. There is a ton of structure and material there to help hold your heel in place. And that same holds true if I try to push forward, and it doesn't really matter where I'm pushing on that section of the heel counter. It is just full of structure there. So if you're between the two, if you're looking for a shoe that has a lot more motion control in the heel, you're going to find that in the Hoka Mach 4. So let's take a look at the midsole. I'm going to start with the Rebel 2 first. Here, New Balance is using their Feel Cell foam from the heel to the toe. Now, this is highly cushioned, it's soft, it's lightweight, it's bouncy, and it feels fast. There's lots of energy return here. But they do feel a little less stable in terms of pronation, especially in the heel area. So it feels like it just kind of collapses maybe a little easier with a more ankle roll than I get when I'm running in the Mach 4s. And in part because of the geometry of the shoe. Now it does have a decently sized landing platform up in the forefoot, but in the heel it gets much more narrow than what you'll find in the Hoka Mach 4. So let's take a look at those. With the Mach 4, they feature 2 different kinds of foam underfoot. They have their Profly foam that you're first landing in, that you're basically standing on top of, which is really soft. It too is cushioned, has lots of bounce or energy return to it, but maybe not as much as you'll find in the Rebel 2 because they are a softer ride. And with the pronation that I spoke of in the Rebel 2, here you got a little bit more pronation control. These are a more stable feeling shoe underfoot for me. I don't get quite that ankle roll with these Profly foam combined with their rubberized EVA foam that doubles as their outsole. And also because of the larger landing platform that you have. Now here they've got a big landing platform up in the forefoot, but they also have this hourglass shape, so they've got a nice big landing platform in the heel as well. Those two things combined with their Profly foam, that rubberized EVA foam that they're using on their outsole that doesn't collapse as much in the heel, and that big area that you got to land on, these do feel much more stable to run in than the Rebel 2 does. So let's flip these over and we'll take a look at the outsole just to see how they're protecting all of that soft midsole foam that they're using. I'm going to start with the Rebel 2 first. And here they've got their endurance rubber. It's blown rubber in all of the high abrasion areas that you're going to need it in. It's up around in the heel, and then they've got a section there even in the midfoot. And then in the forefoot of the shoe, they have plenty there to help give it lots of protection and a little extra durability. In addition, it also adds a little bit of traction. So, I've had these out on some wet pavement. I've had them out on gravel, and they performed really well. I didn't have any issues feeling like I was unsafe when I was out running. Now, the Hoka Mach 4, they have no blown rubber on their outsole at all, but rather they're using a rubberized EVA foam from the heel to the toe. It's soft, it's cushioned, it's responsive, and it's durable. They've used this type of outsole material on other shoes that's done really well. For example, the Carbon X, the Carbon X2, and the Rocket X all feature this type of outsole material. It's durable, so you're going to be able to get a lot of miles out of these as well as you can with the Rebel 2. I think they're going to be pretty equivalent in terms of just how many miles you're going to be able to get on them. Also, I found this outsole material on the Hoka Mach 4 to do a good job and helping me feel secure when I've been out running. And I've had them out on pavement as well as dirt trails. Both of these shoes, I think, do perform best on the road, but when you go off-road for the hard-packed dirt trails, I think they do okay there too. Now the Rebel 2 is lighter. It has a more breathable upper, and they have a softer midsole material to run in. They have a bit of a wow factor built in. Now, with that nitrogen-infused foam that you have underfoot, there's a lot of bounce and energy return that just makes them fast and fun to run in. With the Hoka Mach 4, they're also lightweight with a breathable upper and a nice soft midsole material to land in. Just not as much so as what you're going to find in the Rebel 2. But what they lack in that wow factor that you find in the midsole of the Rebel 2, they more than make up for with their versatility and stability. For versatility, what I'm talking about is foot strikes. I think if you're a heel striker, a mid or forefoot foot striker with the Hoka Mach 4, you're going to feel pretty comfortable running in the shoe, pretty natural. It has a nice heel bevel, has an early stage meta rocker, so regardless of where you're striking the ground, I think you roll through your foot strike pretty smoothly, and it has a very natural feeling to it. Where the Rebel 2, I think it shines more for people who are mid to forefoot foot strikers. Also, with the stability, with the Profly foam and that rubberized EVA foam, I think it kind of slows your pronation a little bit more than what you find in the Rebel 2. Overall, both shoes I find to be a lot of fun to run in, maybe a little more fun factor in the Rebel 2 than what you find in the Hoka Mach 4. Both enjoyable. I hope you guys found this to be helpful. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.